Well, welcome back to the Mendota Ranch. So Nate and I were just driving around filming some B-roll stuff, and I wanted to show him, and I thought I'd show you all this. I just planted this field with alfalfa. I've got another field that I planted last year. Now I do mine a little different. I plant it with the helicopter. The reason why we plant it with helicopter is because our soil is so sandy here. If you get alfalfa like, anything deeper than 1/4 of an inch, it won't come up. And so when we use the drill, just the drill bouncing would get it too deep. And so what we do, we unhook the tubes from the drill. Being I've got a helicopter and I got a spreader bucket, same spreader bucket I use to spread the spike with and all that. I calibrate it for my alfalfa, and the way I plant it is I go like east and west with half the seed. So say I'm putting 20 pounds to the acre down. I do east and west, and I have it set at 10 pounds. East and west, and then I turn around and go north-south. So I checkerboard it with half the seed. So that's equals, if you go 10 and 10, that equals 20 pounds. So, in case you don't want to miss a strip or anything like that. And this alfalfa it's the first week of September, and it's just now coming up. And some other things I'd like to show you. Another thing I do is on the sprinkler track itself is we take the box, the drill, and we fill it one box up with Sudan grass. And that Sudan grass gets about 6 foot tall. And we go ahead and plant it right on the sprinkler track. And the reason we do that is for in the wintertime when that alfalfa is only going to get about this tall. And when we get those cold northern winds that come in, I want that Sudan grass up about that high to block as much wind as I can. So every sprinkler track is going to have Sudan grass. Now you can put a cover crop with it. I've never had much luck putting a cover crop with alfalfa, because then you got to do something with the cover crop. So this is what I do, and this sandy soil is kind of tricky to work with, but yeah, let's walk out there and let's kind of look at some of this stuff. Well, all right, we got a train over here. I guess they're lost. They're backing up. They're going that way and then backing up. But I wanted to show you a couple things. So one thing, look at my heel. Look how far my feet go in. So that's how soft the soil is. But see, this is all alfalfa. All this little green stuff is alfalfa. This is going to be a good stand. And this is all with the helicopter, and it literally takes me 15 minutes each way to plant it. So I can kind of look at the weather and know when's a good time to do it. And I can come in here and within 30 minutes I have this whole thing planted. So this is 65 acres right here. This is half that pivot with 65 acres. That side of the alfalfa is Roundup Ready alfalfa. And I don't do Roundup Ready anymore because my weeds are resistant to Roundup. So I got Roundup Ready weeds now. So I don't mess with that. I don't even spend the money on that anymore. I am thinking about maybe doing a grass, sowing a grass into that stand. That stand's 4 years old and getting a little weak. So I don't know, we'll see. Right here, since I've got so much water underground and so cheap for me to pump it, because alfalfa does take a lot of water. Alfalfa is a pretty good commodity for me. When you're looking at buying hay, selling hay, it's all about protein. And alfalfa, most of my alfalfa averages about 20-21% protein. So we plant this in the fall. You can plant it in the spring. The problem with planting it in the spring is you get a lot of weed issues. So I plant this in the fall, and what I do is I plow this field up back in about a month ago, a little over a month ago. I plowed this field up, we fertilized it, and I actually put pre-emergent down in the end. Pre-emergent kills all the seed, and pre-emergent can sting your alfalfa seed, but I wait a month and plowed it 2 or 3 more times before we planted it. So by planting it in the fall, come springtime, I've already got an established stand, and so I'll get it cutting a lot faster than I normally would. The way I just throw the seed on top of the ground, I told you the ground is really soft. The way I get away with it is I've got a sprinkler, and you can run the sprinkler and you keep it wet until it germinates and comes up. And I have done this out in the pasture for game ranches and stuff like that. And truthfully, we get a pretty good stand with some clover and some other stuff. What I love about alfalfa, if you want big deer, if you want the perfect feed to plant, alfalfa is the perfect feed. Alfalfa greens up and starts growing good as soon as the antlers are shed and they're growing new antlers. Alfalfa will stay green all through most of the rut, all summer of course, and the deer will graze on it all summer long. It grows some big antlers. If you like deer, like if you're like me, I mean, I love big antlers. I love the deer. So one of the things about an alfalfa, so an alfalfa, say just a round bale of alfalfa is worth $130. A round bale of, say, grass or prairie hay is worth $60. So it costs exactly the same to bale a prairie hay as it does to bale an alfalfa. So the alfalfa, if you're going to spend the money on the equipment, you might as well bale something that has got some value to it, because used to it wasn't that big of a deal. Used to a tractor cost, 20, 30,000, 40 for a nice one. And then the baler was 15,000, 20,000. Now, the same tractor costs 100,000 and the baler is 50, 60,000. So, and the price of hay hasn't matched the tractor. So I keep it pretty simple here. Let's go look at the stand back there at the Wiggins and see what a 1-year stand looks like that I planted with the helicopter. All right, well, we're headed back to the Wiggins. I wanted to show you the alfalfa there, but one thing neat right here, when the oil field, there's a location, it's been plugged, or it's a dry hole, I don't know, but when they were building this road, they went right through an Indian camp. So this is an Indian camp that runs right back up here. And kind of where you find these Indian camps are when you got like Red Deer Creek here, then you got another big creek coming into it, Spring-Fed Creek. This would be where you see Indian camps. So like whenever I'm trotting around horseback, I'll be looking for, like, for instance, so you'll see like a rock like this. This is just a plain old quartz rock, but it's broke. So what they would do is they'd take rocks like this, a solid one, heat it up in a fire, then throw it in a buffalo stomach full of water, and that's how they heat their water. So these things don't last very long, and then they'll break. So when you start seeing that, you start seeing you're in the camp. So the interesting thing about this is when they went through here, there's a trash pit. So just like everybody, just like me and you, we've got trash pits. We make trash. Indians made trash, and they got trash pits. When they hit this trash pit, one of the things they dug up was a teenage boy he was actually a club-footed teenage boy. So I'm sure he was looked upon. Indians are they're pretty tough customers, and they were that way for thousands and thousands of years. So when you got an inferior person, they're looked upon, I'm sure, as inferior people. So that's why he had been thrown in the trash pit whenever he died. And they might have killed him, who knows. But he was just thrown in the trash pit with all the other trash. So he was dug up right here. I have found like some camps down low, and I'm sure it's like a winter camp where they're getting, they had their horses down there in the bottom, and they'll cut these cottonwood trees down and those for winter grazing. And so, like, I found like a muzzle loader barrel that was blown up, and some metal airheads, and crap like that. So I think it's cool as crap. All right, let's go look at that alfalfa. So we're back here at the Wiggins. So this is the field I planted with the helicopter a year ago. Now this alfalfa seed is expensive. You're looking at $120 an acre in just seed. So the stand before lasted me 8 years, and then you rotate it out, plant something else for a year or two, and then come back to alfalfa. You can't plant alfalfa just in alfalfa. Next week, we'll be laying this hay down, and this will be our last cutting of the year. Middle of September, the deer move in, and they'll be eating it. We'll probably let this pivot go around one more time, and then we're done. We're probably done here, and then dry it out, and then we'll cut it. I know most farmers don't have or ranchers don't have a helicopter to be able to spread this, so this is kind of unique. Kind of fits my deal. Normally with a drill, it'd take us a day and a half to do all this, and a lot of diesel, a lot of time. And I can do this field here in 30 minutes or less, probably like 20 minutes. I use a crop duster about 20 years ago. I used a crop duster to plant it, and it worked good. So I've been doing it ever since, and I just thought I'd kind of show you, just because it's different than what most people do it. And I'm not saying it's better or anything like that. I'm just saying this is the way I do it, and I get along fine, and I don't know, gives me another excuse to fly a helicopter. So the other evening, I had a group of shooters in, and I saw Max. There's 3 bucks laying down here, and Max was laying down just right, about 100 yards from where we're standing right now. And he looked huge. He looked really big. So remember Max, he was 272. Of course, now we're not going to shoot him, Max is staying here till he dies of old age or something else. But so speaking of deer, you know, the deer move in here and graze the crap out of this. And y'all, if you've seen any of my videos, you know I grow some really, really, really big deer. And I'm working on a live feed, like a live feed game camera, not only just for the deer, but you know, for the coyotes and bobcats and stuff like that. If you're interested in that, just drop me a comment and say, yeah, heck yeah, I keep working on that. Because what I'm trying to do is, like, maybe in the evenings go live for an hour or so while all the deer are either coming into the alfalfa or they're coming into a deer feeder, and you can see all the really big deer. I mean, I like watching that kind of stuff. That's the best TV, just watching nature be nature. So just drop me a comment and see if that's something you'd like to see. Let me know on the Indian stuff this winter. If y'all want to see that, the Indian, and see all the people, let me know about that. And thanks for subscribing. And thanks for following me. And we'll see y'all next week.